Welcome back, Marchinators, because it's March.
Oh, boy.
We're back on the Student Life podcast, and we have a very, very special guest, a pastor, a man in our community, a leader, Mr. Jeff Lippold. Welcome to the podcast, my man.
Welcome.
Cool, John. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here today. Can't believe it's March already. The year is flying by.
He's just going, dude. It's crazy.
It's crazy. I've had that conversation 3 times today. Oh my gosh, it's March 11th. I thought it was 2024.
Uh-huh.
Nope,
Yeah.
not anymore.
Easter's way too close for my comfort.
It's coming. It is coming.
Right around the
So,
corner.
yeah, well, if you're new with our podcast, my name's Cole. I'm the youth pastor at OneLife.
John, I'm a worship pastor.
And we like to bring on guests in our community and interview them to kind of peek into a bunch of stories that wouldn't otherwise get shared with our community about what God is doing.
Right.
And God loves to use people, and Jeff, he has sure used you. So we're stoked to have you on today. Would you just give us a little intro of who you are, what you do for work, your family, for someone who doesn't know you?
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for having me on the show. Super excited to get the opportunity to chat with you guys and share a little bit about all God's done for me in my life and is continuing to do. So, for those who don't know me, I'm Jeff Lippold, Colorado native. We just celebrated 303 Days, so we can
Let's
throw
go.
that out.
Whoa,
Nice.
I missed that.
Yeah,
Missed that
you did?
invitation.
Oh no,
March
that
3rd.
was last week or
Whoa,
a couple weeks
dude.
ago.
There you
yeah.
go.
So, I've been married for 25 years, guys.
Wow.
I married my high school sweetheart. Got started with kids early. I've got a 29-year-old, a 24-year-old, and then Bailey, who you guys know, who's here.
Yeah.
Every Sunday without
Yes.
fail.
Yeah.
So, we've lived in Colorado, we've lived in Oregon. That's where I met Amanda, and then we moved back to Colorado about 12 years ago. Best choice we ever
Come
made
on.
to leave the clouds of the Pacific Northwest and come get some sunshine.
Come
There you
on,
go.
somebody.
Can't
Say it
live without
again.
that sunshine, I'm telling you. The
Beautiful
folks in
here.
Florida say that they're the sunshine
No.
state, but I think we got that title.
That is so good.
sure.
That was well said.
So my day job, I am so blessed, to get to call myself a pastor, a title I never thought I'd have, right?
Yeah.
You look where you're at, 20 years ago, and you're like,
Right.
nope, that's never anything I'm going to do.
100%.
So I'm in sales, I'm blessed to lead a sales team from a great, startup company out of Florida right now.
Love
we
it.
sell software into the automotive arena, which is a really fun time, especially if you like
Nice.
cars.
Yeah.
Right, because we're always
Wow.
hanging around, seeing stuff. Some of the cars I've seen in my journeys, it's just a wow day. It's like has to be a museum.
That's
right
pretty
now.
cool, dude.
So there's some fun stuff going on there. Amanda tells people we should charge admission to the zoo at our house because we have a bunch of animals. We got
Really?
3 dogs.
Wait, this is so good for the podcast.
2 birds.
Do it, dude.
Oh,
Say
no
it.
way.
A couple lizards. I got to tell you guys the story of how we got the birds too. It's crazy. So I'm traveling for work one day, and she calls me up from the pet store, you guys, and she's like, "Hey, we should get a parakeet." Now, don't you dare get a parakeet.
What are you talking about?
While I'm away.
Come home, and she's like, "Well, I didn't get one. I got 2."
It's not A.
Wow, Jeff.
Right? Isn't that crazy?
Oh my god.
And then we
That's
find
awesome.
out these things live for like 25 years. So
Uh-huh.
it's like part of the family forever.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
dude, birds live a long. I learned that the other day too. I went to a hot spring in the mountains with some friends.
Nice.
And they had 50-year-old parrots in like a greenhouse.
50?
They were
Oh my
50-year-old
Oh my
birds.
gosh.
Anyways, that's random.
I hope I don't have those versions.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, so that's a little bit about
story.
me. Super stoked. I'm a Colorado native and an Aurora native. So I grew up, just down the road from here. So it's great
Nice.
to be part of a church that's in the community that I grew up in.
That's so sweet.
Wow.
Got to see Aurora really grow into what it is because I know Aurora's kind of a young, Parker's younger, but
But Aurora too, like
it's
our
not
part
a
of
super
Aurora is new.
old place of Colorado. It's just kind of grown up slowly.
Yeah, so it's been great. I think the community we lived in now is a pizza parlor. So they tore it all down and built a
Wow.
mall over top of it. But hey,
Wow.
we can go back and reminisce while having some pizza.
Hey, yeah, if you're
Dude.
making some.
Well, thank you for those details. I love learning about your zoo.
Yeah,
That's
right?
so good. Would you let us into like your faith story? How did you come to know Jesus, and then how did you get pulled into ministry, into a pastor role at our church, into a leader role at StudentLife? Would you let us into that?
Yeah, so I'm blessed, guys. I grew up in a Christian family, from day one. My grandfather was a captain in the Air Force Academy and pastored a Lutheran church down in Sugar City, Colorado, which is where all the cantaloupe come from, right?
Beautiful.
Sugar
Let's
City.
go.
Awesome cantaloupe. That's where
Whoa.
they come from down there. So, God has been front and center in my life, pretty much since day one. And I'll proudly say, raise the roof, I'm a Billy Graham kid. Got saved at a Billy Graham crusade at Mile High Stadium when I was like 13.
That's
How cool
sick.
is that? Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, but then life happens, and I mean it's great to be a part of student life because when I became a student, especially in high school, I started to drift, and then you graduate and you're like, well, this is just something mom and dad told me I have to do. Now I don't have to do it anymore, right? So there was some times of walking away from God and coming back to Him, and I'll share my story of faith. It's kind of interesting, Amanda tells me that she was praying for me to be so miserable. In my mid-20s, I was a workaholic, doing all the wrong things probably, married, kept my marriage together, thank God.
Yeah.
But she told me, I was praying that God would make you so miserable you had nowhere else to turn, to bring me back to church.
What a prayer from a wife.
Right? Thanks.
Oh, my God.
Thanks, lady.
I love that.
It was a blessing in disguise.
Yes, absolutely.
So get this, guys. It's Easter, I want to say 2009, and we get this card. It's Beavis and Butthead, right? Invitation to an Easter service, and it says, not your mama's church on the card. So Amanda throws this card on my desk, and she goes, we should go. And I'm like, Beavis and Butthead? Okay. Right? I mean, you young guys probably don't even know who Beavis and Butthead
Explain
are.
that for our audience.
Yeah,
Explain
right.
what that
it's
implies.
this really classic MTV show. You should go check it out. Not really, but it's funny. Probably nothing that you want to be around these days, but it was funny back in the day.
Let's go.
So anyway, long story short, we go and we load the family up in the car and we pull into this church parking lot, guys. And the reason why you'll see me standing at the door of the church every Sunday greeting people is because I had that moment, right? I've been away from God for a while. I've got a good biblical foundation. As we're pulling into the parking lot, I'm like, are you kidding me? Gary Dodson is standing here greeting people and parking people. And I knew Gary Dodson, still a good friend today, because he's now retired police chief of the Beaverton, Oregon Police Department.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So you can guess where this story's going, right? So a friend of mine and I were, out doing, things. We're at a party and he pulled a knife on a kid, and the kid turned out to be Gary's son. So long story short, we all get in trouble that night. Yeah. Gary, great guy, kind of takes us under his wing. He's like, you guys are too young to be doing this stuff. What are you doing? So anyway, fast forward to Easter Sunday, 2009, and Gary's there, and he remembers my name, you guys. He's like, Jeff.
You're like,
so
no,
glad
like,
you're
what?
here.
I don't know who you're talking to.
I'm like, what? No, wife, nobody knows. My mom was in the back of the car. I'm like, I don't know this guy. Right?
Oh, man.
So he goes,
That's
Jeff,
awesome.
You belong here. We're so glad you're here. In that moment, you guys, it took away all anxiety I had for being there. It took all my guard down. I think I went to church and I listened to the message, and it hit home, and this was Westside Community Church in Hillsboro, Oregon. So at that point in time, got back in the church. They had a pastor that I was able to connect with, a guy that was an ex-Marine, right?
Dang.
So he was the lead.
Ex-Marine pastor?
Ex-Marine pastor, right?
That's
so
sick. What a cool background.
it was sick. He drove a Corvette. I mean, he had all these cool things about him.
You're like, oh, hold on.
He had a little bit of edge to him, and it just connected with me. And he was the right person for God to bring into my life to get me back to where I needed to be. So 2010, get baptized for the first time ever, and really really kind of set my life forward at that point in time. And then God changed our plans, and we decided that we were going to move to Colorado from Oregon. Right? And you're like, oh, we're in this church. The reasons why we wanted to leave, where there were many great reasons to come to Colorado, but we were like, oh, we have a church family.
You're
now.
so
We've got
planted.
friends.
That's hard.
Yeah, exactly.
That's hard.
So we come here and we move to Parker, and we move into the Stonegate community. And lo and behold, like literally, you guys, the week we move in, there's a church plant starting in the elementary school that we put my daughter in.
Dang.
Wow.
Crazy.
Church plant out of an elementary school. That's interesting.
Yeah. So
Wow.
a bunch of really cool people, a bunch of them who are still my really good friends today, moved out here from Michigan and planted Thrive Church over in Highlands
Come
Ranch.
on.
Oh, no way. That's Thrive?
Yeah.
Dang.
So we got involved with Thrive. Spent a lot of years there. Held down the role as the the guest connections directors, and
That's so cool.
did portable church, set up and tear down every Sunday.
Yeah.
Crazy experience if you guys have never done that.
Uh-huh.
But it was an amazing time, and we had the opportunity to really help move God into a community that really didn't have a lot of things going on, and the church just grew like crazy. So we moved out of the elementary school, moved into a bigger school, and now they're blessed to be in an amazing facility over in Highlands Ranch.
Old
So,
JFC building.
yeah, exactly. Yep, the Jubilee building. So super cool. That's how we really kind of got into it. And then, Pastor John talked about church hurt this past Sunday, right? That happened.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's real.
Yeah.
You know, some things happen. And, you know, for us, you know, we prayed about how do we handle this? And God was like, don't rock the boat, just exit the building. You know, so we decided to make that move out. And then we were kind of, you know, in the wilderness, you know, for a period of time, you know, kind of searching what's next, where are we supposed to be? So we were attending Flatirons Church over in Cherokee Trail High School, you know, and we were the 10-minute late people, and we were the people that got up as soon as the worship team came up and started singing. We were out of the building, right? Yeah. We're just raw. We don't want to talk to people. We don't want to connect, and did that for probably, I don't know, a year and a half. Really.
So it was a season.
It was a good season. You know, we had some Jim Bergen, the pastor up there. I grew up kind of in the Lafayette area, East Boulder area, so we knew him. My sister's up there, so got to meet him, and he's a really great pastor. So we enjoyed it. But then COVID happened. Yep. You know, and things changed, and we had some good friends here at this church, Kevin and Kathy Vogel, and they're like, hey, you know, we you know, are kind of helping these new people get going, and they're not making you wear face masks at church. And we're like, oh, sweet.
Like,
okay.
word?
Yeah, I'm down. Let's go.
Let's go.
So I think we, you know, went over and, you know, hit Grandview like week number 4 or 5 for the church here.
Wow.
You know, and the thing that really was amazing, you guys, was John and Joanna's heart, right? I mean, all of a sudden we're getting text messages. I'm like, who in the world is this? You know, you're glad I came to church. What? Who are you? You know, and I mean, want to meet with you, want to talk with you, want to get to know your life story.
The chase you down type.
100%, which really was refreshing.
Yeah.
You know, because most of the time you go to church, like, I mean, you know, the one I mentioned, you know, it's in and out. Nobody says anything. You make eye contact, you smile at some people, and, you know, life moves on. So long story short, we've been here, you know, celebrated, 4 years, 5 years recently?
Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, so opportunity came with you know, background that we had in helping plant the other church to kind of step into that same role here. And, you know, being in sales, you know, you're always chasing something. You know, you're chasing a goal, and ultimately you're chasing dollars, right? You're making dollars for a company. And for me, the opportunity to be the connections pastor here brings fulfillment in life.
Come on.
Right? I get to
Chasing
have a purpose
people.
Greater. Exactly, for the one, right? Resonates so loud. So that's kind of a
Well
neat
said.
thing for me.
Well said.
Right? It's our little motto and
that
tagline.
was good.
In there.
I was like, oh my goodness.
So, you know, I think you asked me, you know, how we got involved in student life.
Yes.
You know, I literally was, you know, God speaks in whispers. Right. You know, you get those thoughts in your mind, like, where'd that come from? Right. And we can either choose to ignore those thoughts, or we can choose to pause and ponder what they mean. And, you know, for me, I was like, okay, well, I know there's this cool new kid, you know, sorry. You're like half my age, buddy. I mean, both of you.
Yeah, no, it's so real.
We're kids.
We are children.
Right?
That's
we are 22.
We are
happy
children.
belated birthday.
Thanks, dude.
So, you know, I came to church one Sunday shortly after you got here, and I said, hey, you know, I think, you know, I'd like to step in and help out a little bit. And you're like, that's amazing, because someone was just stepping out. Right. So it was like, wow, that God thing happened right there, where he had the next plan and he had the next opportunity for me to jump in and help. And it's been a ton of fun, man. You know, I sit and I help all the junior and senior boys.
Dude.
And oh man, it's a
your
wild
guys'
roller
group is
coaster.
rowdy,
You
bro.
gotta buckle up every
They
Wednesday
need
night
it.
with our team.
the boys. I bet the boys will be listening to this.
I hope so. What up, guys?
Man.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. So yeah, that's kind of my story. How you know, I got, you know, to God in faith, how I came back to God, and how I'm, you know, sitting here chatting with you awesome guys today.
Come on now.
Wow.
That's so
What
sweet.
a story.
Yeah.
What a beautiful, redemptive, Jesus-filled story.
Yeah. God is good all the time.
Come on.
Dude, for real.
As you've been in student life and you have observed the younger generation, as you have kids in both of the younger generations, both the millennial generation and the Gen Z generation.
Yeah.
What are you seeing? And maybe how would you want to maybe speak some life into those younger generations as a youth leader and as a pastor?
Yeah, some of the stuff I hear, you know, breaks my heart. You know, I mean, I grew up without a cell phone in my hand. I grew up when my mom was like, when the street light comes on, come home.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Didn't have to worry about, you know, all the external factors that parents have to worry about now, the evil that's in the world, right? It was a totally different place. So I've got a couple older kids, 29, 24, and then Bailey's 12, right? So you're right. I've you know, had 2 generations of kids, and I've seen some of the struggles and challenges they deal with. And I tell you, middle school, awful.
Yeah.
right? From some of the stuff my kids have had
Yeah.
to deal with.
Yeah.
Just awful.
Feels like no matter what generation you're from, everybody has some horrifying middle
middle
school
school's
story.
tough.
It's the hardest time, man. We feel y'all.
Childhood,
Yeah, it's like when you
teenager.
realize life isn't this, wrapped up in Christmas presents and birthday presents and
Uh-huh.
cake like you thought it was, and like, whoa,
Like, whoa, there are mean people.
I know.
And I'm a mean people.
I have feelings, and other people have feelings.
Yeah, so the thing I've noticed is just the kids have a lot of challenges, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and I think the thing that really, my heart goes out to the guys and the gals is every day it's like they feel that they have to live up to an expectation, a societal expectation, social media. This kid's got this name brand shirt, this kid's got these name brand shoes. If I don't have it, I'm inferior, right? And it's just encouraging everybody where you find your identity from. We just talked about this recently.
Yeah.
Right. And I chased, the material things for so many years because I thought that's the true definition of success. If I have this, if I can show someone that I have this, then I'm successful. And I think as guys especially, we are the providers, and we kind of have that primal instinct that it's our job to provide.
That gaining.
Exactly. To show that we're successful. And that just leaves an empty hole and a lot of wake behind you.
Yeah.
When you're chasing all that stuff.
Yep.
And the thing that I think that I really enjoy is being able just to speak life into the guys I've got in my group, and bring them back to center, and their identity is in Christ, who He says they are, not who their circle of friends say they are, or who the world says they are. And one of the things I constantly talk with my group of guys with is show me your 5 closest friends, and I'll show you your future.
Wow.
Right? And just
That's
making
good.
sure that they're centered in
Need to know
people
that.
that are, kind of swimming upstream.
Yep.
In today's world, instead of following all the fish downstream.
Pulling them down.
Yeah. So that's kind of some of the stuff that we're chatting
I
about.
love those.
That's
That's
amazing.
like some beautiful thoughts, and from a father's perspective and a leader's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these kids, I feel for them. They've just got so many, things that are hitting them left to right. I mean, carrying a cell phone in their hands at all times, and just everything's out there, and it's so easy to say something mean to somebody without any repercussion because you're just texting a message into the universe. So it's a tough time.
Yeah.
So.
The world's just bigger.
It is bigger.
The world is bigger, and you see so much more brokenness as a result.
You sure do. So we're lucky to have you two guys, leading it on Wednesday night.
Praise
So
God for a
kudos to you
community
guys.
that's willing to
Yeah.
brave the waters.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the man, bro.
You're the
If you
man.
haven't listened to John Dixon's message on mental health, probably one of the best messages that's been preached in this church in
So
the past
funny.
year.
There you go.
Honestly, I honor you, bro.
I got to tell you
I
too, we
appreciate that.
found
That's
you on
very kind.
Spotify the other day. So
Oh,
you've
no.
been getting some plays on
Oh,
Spotify at
no.
the house.
Oh,
Bailey's
great.
all
That's
about
so
it.
good.
Yeah.
That's so
That's
good.
funny.
And Habit
Yeah,
is
that
on
Inhabit song.
Spotify.
Go give it some spins,
It's
guys.
very
It's
sweet.
on Spotify and probably some other platforms too. I'd imagine.
Yeah, it's pretty much everywhere.
Man,
That's very sweet. I guess you're with junior and senior boys. You're gonna lose a couple guys coming
Yeah.
up pretty quickly here,
Yeah.
right? Who are the boys who are graduating?
Oh, geez.
We've got-
Bodie.
There's about 4 of them, 5 of them.
yeah,
There's a couple. Yeah.
Bodie and Sean and one of the Pauls and
Yes,
and
that's right.
Some more
Yep.
bros too.
Yeah. If you're looking to speak to them in particular, what's something that you could like give them as they enter a new season? Because they leave student life. This community that is so good and that is so full of life, and they get spoken into by you and by other gentlemen in the youth group. They now have to find something else, whether they're going to college in another state or whether they're staying here. They can't just stay in student life forever. They have to grow up. And how do you encourage them, I guess?
Yeah, I think, when you're in high school, you're just so rushing towards that graduation day, and nobody
Right.
really thinks about what's on the other side of it,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
it's kind of like a cliff.
Yeah.
Your support system's gone. Chances
it is.
are you're moving out of mom and
Yeah, it
dad's
is.
house. Everything that you've kind of been, a big man on campus for a couple years in school, and all of it changes. And I think so many kids are just unprepared for that, right? So
Yeah.
the thing that I would
Yes.
really encourage, having seen a couple of my own kids go through that, is, again, going back to that statement of show me your 5 closest friends and I'll show you your future.
Mm.
I mean, it's your support structure that you have. Make
Surround
sure
yourself
that
with the right
you
people.
are setting yourself up with the right people. You know, a lot guys especially. I imagine girls are the same way. But it feels like we have this newfound freedom. We're free from school. We're free from mom and dad. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that, you know, 1 year will turn into 2 years, will turn into 5 years, will turn into 10 years, and all of a sudden you're 10 years out of high school, and if you don't have a plan, you know, for what's next, you'll find yourself wandering in the abyss and going, holy cow, I don't even know what I'm doing in life. You know, and it's a big world out there.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's
an
easy.
honest truth. That's
It's-
a really,
it's
really
easy to do.
wise statement.
yeah. So I guess, you know, my biggest thing to tell everybody is, one, don't drift away from God, right?
Yeah.
Keep God centered. Because to my point of what I had, I didn't have anybody, you know, share these things with me at a young age. And I was like, all right, well, Sunday, that's just what mom made me do. Wednesdays, that's just what mom made me do. And now I'm on my own. I can do whatever I want on Sundays.
Right.
And one Sunday became 2 weeks, became 10 years, real quick.
Yeah. You just got to like, it's almost that prayer of, Lord, help me to want you. If I can do whatever I want, help me to want you.
Yeah.
So I let what I do be that. That's a piece that I think students are going to find very, very important very quickly.
Yeah. In the Bible, it says above all else, guard your heart, you know, and guard your eyes and be careful what you see, be careful what you hear, you know. And I mean, it's so important in this time when you do have this newfound freedom because you're now technically an adult, right? And the world's completely open to you. You have to make good choices.
How do you stay rooted in Jesus and His church?
Yeah. So my biggest piece of advice is don't change what you've been doing. Keep grounded. Keep your friends. Keep God first. You know, and trust Him for everything. And our job is to trust God.
Yeah.
His job is to do everything else. You know,
That's
if they
good.
can remember
It's
that
true.
and keep that, I mean, they'll be on a great path. You know, right after they get that diploma.
Yeah.
So good.
Come on.
Man, well, we probably have a large senior audience listening, and it is graduation season, and we're trying to frame some of these podcast questions around really blessing
heart,
you
y'all.
guys as we're thinking about you guys and getting ready to commission you. So Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks
Thank
for your
you.
story. Thank you for how you pastor our community. And we just honor you, dude. We just honor the way you've led and what you model as a man. And we're just thanks for coming on the show today.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
So, friends, we will see you next time. Cole,
John.
And Jeff.
out.